Mickey Mouse. Bruh. And welcome. Hey, why am I small? Hey, welcome everyone. Listen, geez, what just happened? The entire platform crashed. Uh, so hopefully everything's good. I'll have to re-upload all the material for the presentation tonight, but that's what happened. Crashed on me just as soon as I started it. So I'm gonna back it up and say hello to everyone and welcome, and uh, and we'll get started. So welcome to you. Happy Wednesday night. This is July 2nd, 2025. So welcome everyone, and I'll try to do what I can do. Okay. Can't control everything, but you got to learn to please yourself. All right. So let me back it all up for everybody. See who's here before we get started. But welcome on in. Okay. Is there an echo in the background? You're kidding me, right? All right. So let's say Dieter. Welcome, Dieter. Welcome, Dark Arts by Adrian. Welcome, Sweet Dude Shibby. Welcome, Samantha Springman. Also, Muty Silence. And Amy's here. What's up, Amy? Miss Pie Crust, Nicole Watt, Deb, Rebecca Ann, um, Nicole Watt. I said hello. Omort Newmort, um, Carla Ann. Welcome, Carla Ann. Saying hello to everybody. Um, Dom S. Welcome, Dom S. Welcome, Christina. All right. Welcome. It's a new day. Welcome. It's a new day. Dark Arts by Adrian. I said hello. Hey, Rhonda Holton. Hello to you. Hello to who else? David Rogers. Hello, David Rogers. All right. Good to see everybody. Okay. I see you guys coming in. Thank you for coming in. We got a brown-eyed girl. Hello to you. All right. Mm, Jojo's here. Welcome, Jojo. All right. Hello to you. Uh, Lisa's here. What's up, Lisa? Hmm. Heavy Metal Rehab. What's up to you? All right. Who else we got in here? We got Rebecca Ann. What's up? All right. Muty Silence. Okay. We got Christina. Christine. Hey, Christine. What's up? All right. Scott Garner. Welcome, Scott Garner. Okay. Welcome to you. Also, artist formerly known. What's up with you? Welcome in. Okay. It's a new day. Digital. What's up, Digital? Um, well, welcome everyone who's come in, and we will be welcoming everyone else in who comes in. Okay, so who knows who else will come in? We'll welcome everyone in and have a good day. Just a moment, please. All right, so welcome in everyone. Today's show is called Crabeas Hank. Okay, Crabeas Hank. We have a lot to get into tonight. Um, And shoot, man, I got to tell you, it's just so annoying here that my whole platform crashed because I got to start everything all the way over. Um, but I will do that. So we'll be slowly doing it. First thing I wanted to do was let's see if I can manage this. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see. All right. If I can handle this. All right. Let me get back to here. All right. Geez. And then we'll go to here. Oh yeah, we got to pin the pathways, guys. Can you type them on in, Miss Amy? All right. So let's see. Woo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo. All right. Just a moment. All right. So I just wanted to share before we got started tonight my update for the week, which is the Substack post. Okay. So I decided to make a post on the Roblox video. Okay, and you will see if you're not a paid member. I'd really prefer that everyone have a paid membership over there rather than the YouTube channel because it's much more beneficial over there on Substack. But I'm going to show you for those who don't have the paid membership, some of what it entails over there. I wanted to go through it quickly, but this is the Delphi Murders Roblox video Substack I did yesterday or day before, and as you can see, um, I have an introductory album here with some context for the Roblox video. So, like this, it says, "Okay, so this is weird to see Roblox mentioned here." Because I had to report a video I found online, which was an entire Roblox reconstruction animation of the crime scene and the crime from beginning to end with Roblox characters for Abby and Libby and the murderer. It was so effing awful, I had to report it to get it taken down. And I remember exactly because of how disgusting it was. It was odd because I remember seeing a very famous 1 million plus Roblox YouTuber early in the comments encouraging the video. Then it says here, um, I see a whole ass animated movie of a double child murder in graphic detail with a music score and a script. The whole thing was an absolute disgrace and it must have been taking a big investment of time. It seems like some depraved Roblox snuff film and bizarrely detailed. It was very horrific for sure because of the way it was filmed and very snuff film torture porn style, and not in favor of Abby and Libby. It even showed scenes of the girls being raped. It says, what's really creepy to me is someone had to build that whole Roblox bridge map and hired other people to control the characters, the other characters. I used to play and build on Roblox when I was a kid, and let me tell you, building maps takes time. The amount of time and effort to make this child murder, sexual assault snuff film is disturbing. The film even included a murderer walking the trail from the car park and commentary gradually reaching a crescendo of excitement. A full murder movie and done as if it were titillating, like creepy wank snuff for psychopaths. Okay. It was made to look like a K-pop little girl made it, and all the replies to negative comments were childlike replies from the creator. It was very disturbing knowing what we know now, that Roblox chats might have been involved in the murders. Yes, the whole thing was deeply sus. And I found it weird. Absolutely nobody online outside of the comments of that video even mentioned it. Thanks for making me see I wasn't crazy and didn't just dream that entire thing. Okay, then there's some information on Roblox, right? And then I go into describing what I think happened in how Adrian and Alex were able to insist that people who were holding this video give it to the world. And so here it says, you'll see that on, the following series of screenshots lays out the series of events that led to the re-release of the video. It says, you'll see that on April 10th, 2025, and Light in the Dark made a live stream demanding that those who were secretly holding the Roblox video make it public. And that's a live stream. Okay. And that was April 10th. And it says, April 15th, there's a response. Okay. Then it says that April 21st, there's a live stream. And in the chat of this live stream, the link to a freshly uploaded copy of the video is dropped. And I show that. Okay. Then I show how during the April 21st, 2025 live stream, someone begins discussing the Roblox video, mocking those who are asking for it and referring to it as being on a public access site. Okay. Only 30 minutes into the live, Jinx13 drops a link to the video, which is being hosted on streamable.com. At that time, I visit the link, which showed that the video had only been freshly posted in its original format and quality, having a total of only 6 views at the time that I clicked on it. Okay. And you can see there, that's the link being dropped here. See? All right. And then I go into the Roblox Delphi Murders live action reenactment is released. Take notice that the video is highly produced with editing done post gameplay, including a title screen, soundtrack, and other overlays. The fonts, transitions, and edits all reveal that this video was created in its final form on an Apple computer. It's also noteworthy that this project is labeled a reenactment. Okay, and here's where there's a paywall here. But past the paywall, it says small initial observation. Note that the signage states Delphi Historic Trails open dawn to dusk. Okay. Interesting to note that the script writers mock the fact that the internet is a bad and scary place in response to Abigail's parents warning her of the dangers of the internet. Here is the first occurrence of the letter X interjected into a word. Here, snap is spelled as SNXAP, referring to a supposed Snapchat post. Also, you will see the fake Abby Snapchat image overlaid over the initial gameplay. See? This is strategy. Here you'll see what appears to be a username glitch as Madison is briefly displayed as the name for Bridge Guy. Here again, you'll see that Madison appears as a name for Bridge Guy and what appears to be another username glitch. In this image, Abigail's name is replaced by the username Funsies3424 and what appears to be another possible glitch. Okay. I've highlighted some creepy dialogue that occurs after the essay scene. Just prior to the murder of Libby, you'll see the fetishization of the victim. Okay. In this scene where Libby is killed, a chat box pops up momentarily and reveals another username, Leah Michelle, formerly known as Yami Ox. And you can see here the box that I'm referring to popping up, revealing the actual usernames. Okay. In this screenshot, I've highlighted the name Abigail Williams, which has an X interjected into Abigail's first name. Note Tamaguchi with the X possibly replacing the U. Okay. Again, notice the overlays. Here I find it interesting that the location name is initially redacted, then replaced with Delphi with an X, lowercase d with an X interjected immediately after the first letter. Again, Tamaguchi is labeled as the name of the BBC reporter. And on a side note, why is the BBC used in this video? Note that this closing character is in a room labeled as Blonde Sorority Girl VIP Besties. I find the 100% real to be another odd addition. Note that this character always signs her name as C. And I say extremely bizarre after viewing a reenactment of an essay and double murder, and while talking about two real young murdered girls, this juvenile female character gleefully takes off her pants and claps her cheeks in a very disrespectful, celebratory, dancing fashion to end. Why does this character disrobe this young female character? The aftermath. After searching all the aforementioned usernames, I located a Twitch user named Tamaguchi and an identical match to our video. And after some more searching, I managed to locate a PayPal user account named Tamaguchi with the handle Tamaguchi with the U replaced by an X, another identical match. A note on the letter X by Leon Seltzer, PhD. Leon Seltzer says, because it's been employed in so many fields, from algebra to genetics to aerospace to sex and spirituality, X's abundant meanings have almost everything to do with the context that engages it. X has long been recognized as an occult symbol for Satan and the black art or witchcraft of Satanism. Witches cross their fingers to focus their energy and convey their possession of demonic powers. Yet on the other hand, people cross their fingers to make a wish, doing it for good, non-malignant luck. X as it relates not so much to a fond or sentimental attachment, but to something far more lustful or passionate, gives us X-rated, and the word sex itself. And not only does this usage address the earthier, more animalistic side of our nature, it can also slip into the realm of naughty, illicit, or forbidden, symbolizing explicit or graphic sexual content. We have extreme porn designated as XXX, and XXXX has been increasingly showing up to suggest really bold, intense, or outrageous displays of sexual daring do. X is implicated in the taking of life, death oath, as in cross my heart and hope to die. In Kabbalistic philosophy, a branch of Jewish mysticism, as referring to both life and death. X is signifying the end of something, an entity whose existence is over, past, dead, and gone. Here perhaps we have X as the most nihilistic of letters. And curiously, cartoonists have traditionally employed it to display a character out cold or dead through drawing X's over their eyes. As already alluded to, as symbolizing fatality in the well-known skull and crossbones emblem, marking the scene of a crime in a plan or photograph. In secret societies, X is employed to emphasize their strength, exclusivity, and a certain subversiveness or duplicity about them, expressed, for example, through crossed arms and legs, which can be a code for crossed meanings, as in left meaning right, or things being inverted. For example, black for white, yes for no, etc. In linguistics, X, as what's been called a phonetic chameleon, it's used to replicate such sounds as KS as in wax, GZ as in exhaust, Z as in xenophobia, K as in excite, KZH is in luxury, and the letter can also hush up, that is, be silent, as in Sioux Falls. Wow, talk about diversity or confusion. Okay, the letter X. Anyhow, um, that's a quick review of the Substack post regarding the Roblox video and some of my initial impressions of it. I'm still working on various aspects of it, so I'll leave it at that for now, but it's over there. Please do go to Substack and subscribe. It's at Read the Prof at Substack. Please subscribe over there. I prefer everybody become a member over there rather than on YouTube or anywhere else. It's a good place to get to talk together. And anyway, that's that. Now, that catches us up with that. And what I wanted to do is kind of begin to get into our show tonight. And like I said, I did lose everything that I had loaded into the backstage area. So I'll have to manually grab all my files, and I will do that. But I can start off with the first one I grabbed here. All right. So you guys may remember. Oh man. Let me see. All right. So let's see. All right. So you'll remember that on March 12th of this year, all shit hit the fan in Delphi, which is that some individuals took it upon themselves to post a video that they are claiming is the original video from Liberty German's cell phone onto a website on the internet. Now, we do find it pretty odd, don't we, that we're now in July, the first days of July, and the court and Judge Gull have refused to release any of the footage so far. Now, this is important because there are several things at play here. And I think that lots of people have not yet considered the reason it's important as to the releasing of the exhibits that were derived from Liberty's video in the exhibits from the court that we are waiting to be released. Okay. Now, first and foremost, is my contention that I would lean very heavily to assuming that this video is literally discovery that was released, okay, which is a crime and has very dire implications for those involved in its release, whether it be Andy Baldwin, Matthew Hoffman, Jennifer Auger, or Michael Osbrook. And I think that the thing that's going to really determine that is what the judge releases as exhibits from trial. Because it's my suspicion that what were used for exhibits in trial were excerpts from the video that was a result of the phone extraction. Okay. Meaning that if that original video in its full quality, length, and not being cropped in its original full state was displayed to the jurors, then that likely means it is technically an exhibit. But I think it's very unlikely that the entire full original video from the extraction is what was shown to jurors. I think that the state did excerpts from that video and used those few excerpts in all cropped or enhanced or stabilized or tampered in some way as the exhibits that were shown to the jury. So I think it's very telling that up until this point, the judge has not released any of that for us to be able to do an A-B comparison to. Okay. Now, on March 12th, this group decided to take it upon themselves and release this. And immediately refused to answer any questions about it. And to this day, no questions have been answered about it. Especially the questions that I raised not too long ago after months of non-answers about this. I raised these questions, okay? And I think it's important to reiterate that these questions have not been answered. They've all been dodged, okay? They've all been dodged. These questions should not be hard to answer. These questions are the most simple questions that could possibly be asked about this incident. And it's a mystery why it would be so difficult for anyone to answer any one of these questions. So I'm going to read these questions. How did the video from Liberty German's phone extraction get onto the website? Whose hands did it pass through between leaving Baldwin's office, quote unquote, and it being posted on the website, quote unquote? Question: why is that a difficult question to answer? Not a single answer. Next question: who handed it from Baldwin to the next person in line? Was it Osbrook, as he claimed? Who passed the video to Luke? Was it Angela, as Osbrook implied? Was it someone else? What really happened without all the sidestepping and sleight of hand? Furthermore, when we mention chain of custody, we mean specifically, please detail each and every person's hands the videos passed between, all the way from Andy Baldwin's office to its eventual release on the website. Please provide receipts every single step of the way for all of the things that you are claiming. Was there a coordinated plan for the rollout of this video to be set into motion by the posting of the notice of appeal on my case across multiple YouTube channels? That is, R&M Productions, Criminality, and Andy Kopsa. Who was responsible for this coordinated rollout? Why, during her breaking full Bridge Guy video released live stream, did Angela Sadlowski act as if she had no idea who released the video, no knowledge of its pre planned release, and no knowledge of who was behind the website, when we now know that all not to be true? Did Andy Baldwin knowingly give the video, quote unquote, to you all with the intent that it be publicly posted on the website? If so, who did he personally give the permission to? And in what format? Text message, email, or phone call? Please provide receipts for this permission from Andy Baldwin if it indeed exists. No claims. See, here's the thing, people. We don't want claims about what Andy Baldwin said was okay or not. We want the proof. All right? Why did Mr. Baldwin initially outright deny that the video came from him? And why did he and Jennifer Auger then write a press release condemning you all for the release? Who specifically blackmailed the defense in order to prevent them from publishing that press release that they had drafted condemning you all for this release? And what was the exact nature of the threat? And why did you attack all of those asking reasonable and pertinent questions regarding the video's release? Are there any of the basic questions that are ever going to be addressed about the leaking of this video with direct and honest answers? We know that transparency is the most important thing that the public is seeking right now. So the fact that you cannot be transparent in the occurrences that surround or the occurrences that surround the release of this video is very telling. Okay? This is not about jealousy. This is not about anger. This is not about clout. Furthermore, if Michael Osbrook personally had this video taken from the extraction that he was given, then technically that means that Andy Baldwin did not give you a video. So this means that the video, quote unquote, was never handed from Baldwin's office to anyone. Right? All right. So it's funny, though, because you guys may remember this here. Okay. So this says they were going to release the video or release more, but threw us under the bus after wrapping an anvil around our necks. They, in reference to the defense attorneys, the defense team, they actually made it 100 times worse. They gave gas to bad actors to talk shit and start the hype cycle. Auger, or Jennifer Auger, drafted a press release condemning us for the release. It was only a miracle we got her not to release it. So the defense asked us to release, then Auger tries to effing hang us from our nuts. Okay. I'm looking for a specific screenshot here, but I don't see it. All right. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It says, you're not thinking about, Michael Osbrook says, you're not thinking about the situation correctly. In my view, it has never been about being retained for anything. It has been about getting access to stuff from which the investigation could be advanced in a case already more than 8 years old. Okay? All right. So let's see. You guys remember all of that, right? So we're getting there. Um, so this is a response I made sometime after all of that, where I said, I do specifically remember, I think this would be in response to someone saying that I was attacking people. So I said, no, I do specifically remember naming Angela Sedlowski, Luke Nicholas Cohen, Nicole Miller, Michael Offsbrook, and Carol Weinecke as being involved in the leak on that website. Is it the mention of those names that is being improperly labeled as false accusations? I mean, here are some direct quotations from the exact same individuals mentioned above. Luke Nicholas. Jennifer Auger drafted a press release condemning us for the release. It was only a miracle we got her not to release it. So the defense asked us to release, then Auger tries to effing hang us from our nuts. They actually made it 100 times worse. They gave gas to bad actors to talk shit and start the hype cycle. They were going to release more, but threw us under the bus after wrapping an anvil around our necks. Rick Allen's defense attorneys released the BG video, which was the untouched file as released to them by authorities. We went to huge expense to make sure the original file, untouched by us, was available to the public. We didn't even optimize the video file, which would have saved over $2,000 in hosting expenses in order that the original file itself was available to anyone. I paid for the website. The domain does not have the same IP address as the two sites I ran, but if it did, so what? That's not what matters. Nicole Miller states, Jennifer Auger, I guess, confronted Andy in particular about the video. And instead of him saying, yes, that was the plan, I was going to do A, B, and C like a grown man and a professional and someone who's not doing anything wrong, instead of saying, yes, that was the plan, I already checked with other attorneys to make sure it wasn't violating any kind of protective order or whatever, and that these are public records. Instead of saying that, he threw everybody under the bus like he had no effing clue where this video came from. Oh, no, I didn't know where the video came from. I have no idea. Auger was going to put out a press release about how they didn't put it out. They don't condone it. They don't condone any additional exhibits getting out, throwing all of us under the bus. And somebody who knows was like, MFer, you better not, because I will like out you. Because that would be absolutely borderline, if not borderline, like crossing the line into unethical behavior. Bruh. If you tell her that you had no idea that that was being posted, you are lying. And thankfully, nothing came out. But it just seemed as though people stopped giving a F. Like, the video was not enough. I'm glad it's out, but I was calling him a pussy. Angela Sedlowski, we had a literal list, all right, of like a planned out release. Bruh. What they had like a planned out release with like an itemized list of the things that were going to be released. Like it's the most disingenuous bullshit. And for trial counsel to not be bending over backwards to go to bat for them. Now, I said this earlier, I'll say it again. I'm not here to like cast judgment unfairly, but when I see some shit that really disturbs me, I'm going to say the lack of integrity I've seen for people who I held in very high esteem has been baffling.
As an expert at being Mickey Mouse, yeah, I can say seriously, yeah, you're right, Rick. This is some Mickey Mouse bullshit. Thanks.
The frustrating thing is that had the defense just agreed, just followed through on what they promised, which was transparency from the beginning, a neutral platform to put out exhibits and put out evidence and follow through with the plan, instead of burying their heads in the sand and getting sand and getting cold feet and pussying out on the last minute and letting all the bullshit and the heat fall on people that didn't even have the authority to do that anyway. Had they just stood firm in their convictions for once, like they did back when they filed the Franks memo, I don't know what would have happened to those men that we respected. Michael Offsbrook states, and the BG video, whatever anybody says, is straight out of the phone extraction I was given. Andy Baldwin said it was okay to release it, so Angela got it, period. Crazy Girl says, couldn't we have said this a long time ago, though? Nosberg says, no, because some people weren't willing to be honest about what they had said. There was no leak. I wish people would stop talking about this. There was no leak. Andy Baldwin authorized its release. There was no leak. It's a trial exhibit. It's a copy of a trial exhibit. It is a public record. It does not matter whether it has a sticker from the court on it. Kara Weinecke states, Angela Sadlowski had sent me the Luigi website. And I thought, this is brilliant that what these attorneys are doing, right? They're connecting him with. It's interesting because it's pretrial, but they're connecting him with his following or whatever. And so we thought that wasn't a bad idea. Defense counsel in this case, that was a very good way to get information out. And so apparently that's what defense counsel decided to go forward with that. And so I say, it seems that I asked some very basic questions that were also being asked by a large number of my viewers. Where specifically did I threaten any confidential sources who are protected by law? Gaslight much? It seems to me that I merely asked the right questions of the right people, and instead of honest answers, now more than 2 months later, I've only received harassment and cyberbullying, but I don't see anyone going over to offer these individuals any unsolicited, gentle, and honest advice. On the contrary, I only see people associating and participating with the very same individuals who have chosen to respond to these important questions with gang stalking, intimidation, harassment, and doxing instead of honesty, truth, and transparency. And that is the cold, hard, and honest truth that no one can deny, the brutal reality of the reflections in the mirror that you should all see. This seems cruel and not productive, does it not? And here are some more quotes. I think that the two things I'd like to clean up once and for all, says Michael Osbrook, on actual knowledge instead of hearsay ringing around, is the provenance of the BG video and this whole contract kerfuffle. And the BG video, whatever anybody says, is straight out of the phone extraction I was given. Andy Baldwin said it was okay to release it, so Angela got it, period. All right. Crazy Girl says, couldn't we have said this a long time ago, though? No, because some people weren't willing to be honest about what they had said. Who were some people? So that people would be comfortable with us having access to discovery, we suggested becoming post-conviction counsel. At which point, I was asked to write up an agreement and send it to people who mattered. All right. Sluti says, to the point where Jennifer Auger was going to put out a press release about how they didn't put it out. Don't condone it. They don't condone any additional exhibits getting out. And so somebody who knows was like, MFer, you better not, because I will out you, because that would be absolutely borderline, if not borderline, like crossing the line into unethical behavior. If you tell her that you had no idea that that was being posted, you are lying. All right. And so Wish TV reports that Murder Sheet said where this becomes uncomfortable is when you're bringing in internet sleuths who are not even from Indiana to do this with zero training. I think even if they're signing things like NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, that should give people pause, because in the Delphi case especially, internet sleuths do not have the best reputation as far as ethics or not harassing people. Kara Weinecke said, I expressed doubt about that the defense would have had time to vet hundreds of jurors before the May trial date. A friend offered her help. I said I would let the defense team know. I did. They said no, that is not jury tampering. Murder Sheet podcast told iTeam8 that the group chat also revealed the strategy of the defense team by talking specifically about how they plan to discredit the ballistics expert who matched the bullet found at the scene with Allen's gun. All right, you guys may remember this. Guys, we're just taking a brief trip down memory lane to set our context for tonight. And for there may be those of you who have not ever seen any of this, so this will be a first go round for new viewers. But Erica Morse, you guys may remember that she released this statement saying the following statement is being made at the request of Kathy Allen. Michael Osbrook does not represent Kathy Allen. Michael Osbrook, does not represent Rick or Kathy, nor is he entitled to any information about the Delphi case. He is not authorized to speak on behalf of the Allen family, nor is his information coming from authorized or approved sources. At this time, Kathy asked that all information, leads, tips, and anything else go directly to Stacy Uliana or Mark Lehman, Rick's appellate attorneys. Feel free to share throughout all of the Delphi groups and pages, as this must be cleared up ASAP. Also, if you've been told that you can be hired as a PI through Osbrook or have been acting as an investigator on his behalf, please notify Rick's appellate team immediately. Thank you. And more recently, Erica made the following statement. Kelly Groves, are you kidding? See, I'm not as nice as Chris. Crystal was the one who contacted Chris with those questions. And then it was Amy who read those questions on her show, lying her ass off about how Chris was refusing to share information. It's confidential. These little high school bullies are trying to wear Kathy down into giving them information so they can increase their subscribers. And it makes me sick. That information could be used in a retrial, plain and simple. I don't care how mad they get. They're not entitled to it, and we will not give it to them. And since we're on the subject, I'm going to make this real clear right now. I called Brad and asked if Michael Osbrook could be given a copy of my Discovery hard drive while we were writing the motion to correct error. And Brad's instructions were absolutely not. So Osbrook can knock off his shit because it came from Rick's lead trial attorney. He's not entitled to it, so he's not getting it. And all of this chaos is because Osbrook doesn't have those hard drives. Okay? So are we starting to get the flavor of some of what is happening here with all of this? Now look, I'm going to bring you down memory lane a little further. So you may remember that at the time in March when all of this took place, and all of this meaning when this video that's allegedly the original from Libby's phone was released on a website with zero transparency, ironically named on a page named Transparency, when the people or those who were responsible for it refused to answer any questions whatsoever and instead lied and went on the attack about it. Um, they rolled out this pressure campaign. You guys may remember this. These people, the same group of people, no matter how much they may deny it, they rolled out an intense pressure campaign directed at or aimed at Kathy Allen. And this was all throughout March. So from the release of this video and for the next month, this group and all of their followers rolled out an intense pressure campaign. And I would say that we're talking about the Due Process Gang and all of their followers. And this pressure campaign was especially noticeable or evident on Twitter. So as I was watching Twitter, I really started to see this pressure campaign roll out in late March and on into mid-April. And I thought, my God, why are they so trying to pressure or develop this atmosphere of pressure or stress around post-conviction attorneys for Rick Allen? And remember, I brought to your attention this contract, and then the difference between post-conviction investigation and uh, and some sort of civil action, and then they were conflating some potential statute of limitations with a tort claim and with civil rights, federal uh, uh, claims, and then there were just lies and misrepresentations, and there was this constant pressure, and uh, and zero questions were answered. There was nothing but deflection. There was a whole gang stalking attempt, particularly aimed at Christine, Erica, and myself, and also, but somewhat directed towards Adrian as well. All of us asking these questions. Okay, zero answers. Still to this day, as I mentioned, zero answers. Okay, and so at the same time, the questions about the funds from some of the donors started asking about the funds, and they started observing how these same people were behind it. So this due process gang was also behind the fundraiser. Okay, and there were all these contradictions. For instance, Michael Osbrook had this contradiction in which he was publicly stating that the funds were in David Hennessy's possession. And privately, to the defense investigators, the former defense investigators, Christine and Erica, he was relaying that the funds were in the hands of Andy Baldwin's office. So all of these contradictions, okay? And even to this day, there's been zero proof. There's been only more questions. For some reason, this entire due process gang and all of the orbiters will not answer a single damn question about any of this. But what they will do is consistently pressure, deflect, and gaslight about it all, to the point where they've now convinced Amy at Case by Case that that there is an entire effort on the part of Erica, Christine, and myself on behalf of the state of Indiana to withhold or to not share information with fucking YouTubers. All right, so it's just a lot. Okay, there's a lot to this, and so as I started thinking about this, I started thinking about what is going to be the topic of tonight's show, and that is the involvement of Matthew Hoffman and Michael Osbrook as a nexus for this entire group between the public and the defense attorneys, okay, and all that's happened. And and as I started thinking about these problems, I thought, wow, it's pretty interesting to me because I believed that Hoffman and Michael Osbrook were behind all of the problems. Okay, in other words, it's very clear to me that the defense became sidetracked prior to trial. Okay, it's absolutely apparent to me that the defense dropped the ball because they were misdirected. Okay, and as I started to think about how this all worked, Matthew Hoffman placed himself in the hot seat because Matthew Hoffman was the nexus here. Okay, so that's how we're going to start our show tonight. Is I want to talk a little before we get into Crabeas Hank, the subject of tonight's show. I want to show you that I started talking to some people and doing some looking, and it turns out that there are questions about Matthew Hoffman that I want to share with you. So I'm going to read this for you. And I know it's rather small, but this is just to prove that I'm not lying, okay? In other words, this can be found by anyone wanting to find it. You don't have to take my word for it, but you also don't have to read it off the screen. I'll read it for you. This says, this is dated November 6, 2012. Okay, November 6, 2012. This says, Mayor Jim Brainerd has named Matt Hoffman to the fire chief for Carmel City Fire Department, effective January 1st, 2013. Hoffman will take over when the current chief, Keith Smith, retires at the end of the year. Smith was appointed fire chief of the Carmel Fire Department by Mayor Brainerd in 2007 and recently expressed his desire to retire from the fire service. Hoffman was selected by Mayor Brainerd because the mayor felt Hoffman's more than 20 years of service in the Carmel Fire Department prepared him well to lead Carmel's professional force. Hoffman has most recently served as Assistant Chief for Operations for the Carmel Fire Department. We have a very talented staff of leaders in our fire service from which I was able to determine our future direction, and Matt has the right blend of talents for the challenges that lie ahead, said Mayor Brainerd. Originally from Brownsburg, Hoffman holds a bachelor's degree in business management with an emphasis in fire science. He began his career in fire service with the Wayne and Perry Township Fire Departments. He was hired by Carmel in 1989 as a firefighter and then was promoted to sergeant in 1997 and received his paramedic certification the same year. He was later promoted from sergeant to lieutenant in 2001, lieutenant to captain in 2002. Training chief in 2008, and assistant chief of operations in 2010. I'm very pleased that Matt has accepted my appointment to chief of Carmel's fire department, said Mayor Brainerd. He continued by adding, this is a professional force that is in the final stages of accreditation and continues to meet the needs of a dynamic and rapidly growing community. Matt has seen many changes in the demands and technology of fire service industry, and he has a detailed understanding of what our department needs to continue to improve. Chief Smith retires from a career in the fire service that began in 1965 as a firefighter in the Indianapolis Fire Department, where he was promoted through the ranks. He has held a position of lieutenant, captain, division chief, shift commander, and assistant fire chief while in service to Indianapolis. From 2000 to 2002, Smith served as battalion chief and director of corporate development. He was also chosen by the city of Indianapolis as a full-time staff to the 2001 World Police and Fire Games office. From 2002 to 2003, he served as battalion chief in the administration of the fire department's corporate partners program. Smith also holds a degree from Indiana University and was selected for participation in the executive officer program at National Fire Academy. Okay, now, so there's a video titled "Meet the Chief," Chief Matt Hoffman. Okay. By the city of Carmel, Indiana. This video was produced by the Omni Center for Public Media Incorporated. Okay. This is owned by Winston Long of Carmel, Indiana. Okay. Carmel, Indiana, Omni Productions, Winston Long. 45 years, 6 months working for the city of Carmel. Carmel Police Commissioner from January 1980 to present. 45 years, 6 months. Appointed by Mayor Ryman, Commissioner Long has been serving the citizens of Carmel and the state of Indiana since 1980. Cable and Telecommunications Commissioner from January 2025 to December 2024. Okay. President and General Manager of Omni Productions, January 1976 to present. Vice President, the Omni Center for Public Media, 1986 to present. Board Member Emeritus, Carmel Rotary. Okay. This is Winston Long. Okay. Winston Long, here it is, of Omni Productions. And it's very important to keep in mind that, I'll bring this down for a minute. Carmel, Indiana is a small town. Any of you who would know or have experience with the public services in any small town, for instance, fire departments, police departments, EMS, okay, you would understand very quickly that it's a tight-knit group, okay? So in other words, the firemen, the police, and the ambulance drivers and paramedics, they always are a tight-knit group in a small town because they work together every single day, all right? So I want you to take yourself back in time and think of it this way. When you have some individuals that have been at the upper echelon of those departments for 20, 30 years, they're going to know each other. Okay? So what I'm getting at here is you have to sort of wipe the slate clean and understand that it's a very high likelihood that the fire department chief and the police commissioner are going to know each other in a small town as Carmel. Okay? And so I found that that was one of the concerning things. Okay? That was one of the concerning questions I had about Matthew Hoffman. I thought, well, that's very odd because one of the number one trolls in Delphi was Chris Long, whose father is Winston Long. And now we have Matt Hoffman working for Andy Baldwin, who was formerly the fire chief of Carmel, who most certainly would know the police commissioner. And then it got more rich because one of my sources said, Prof, I happened to have some conversations with some people, and you need to know something, you know. All right. Sorry. You guys are distracting me in the chat. Come on, man. Do better in the chat. This is not easy to get through, and we don't need bullshit in the chat. Doug Carter, this says, Indiana State Police Superintendent retires following a career spanning nearly 4 decades. Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter has retired following a career in law enforcement which spanned nearly 40 years. Born and raised in LaPorte, Indiana, and after graduating from LaPorte High School in 1980, he went to attend Ball State University. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree with an emphasis on management, leadership, and organizational structure from Indiana Wesleyan University. The son of a state trooper, Carter followed in his father's footsteps, and in July 1984, he was accepted into the 42nd Indiana State Police Recruit School. He served 18 years with the Indiana State Police from November 1984 until December 2002 and was assigned to the Pendleton State Police District while serving in Hamilton County. And here's where it's important. In 2002, Carter sought the elected office of Sheriff of Hamilton County and ultimately served 2 terms from January 2003 through December 2010 as the elected Sheriff of Hamilton County. Appointed by Governor Mike Pence, Carter became Indiana's 20th Superintendent of the State Police on January 14, 2013, and was reappointed by Governor Eric Holcomb on January 13, 2017. No one to shy away from public spotlight, he led the state police through some of the most difficult times, including civil unrest in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic, decreased public perception of law enforcement, and 2 of the highest profile cases in the agency's history, the Delphi double murders and Flora fire investigation. Through it all, Carter and his staff continued to take the state police forward by providing body in-car cameras for all sergeants and troopers, state-of-the-art communications equipment, moving to an all SUV patrol fleet, more robust training program, bringing more resources for mental health assistance to employees, and an increased effort in recruiting and retention, to name a few. Carter, who served as superintendent for 12 years, was the longest serving superintendent in the nearly 92-year history of the Indiana State Police. Carter resides in Hamilton County with his family. Okay. This is another one. It says Superintendent Doug Carter previously served 18 years with the state police from November 1984 until December of 2002 and was assigned to the Pendleton State Police Post, where he worked in Hamilton County. Hamilton County is now part of the Indianapolis Post. He successfully ran for the elected office of Sheriff of Hamilton County, serving 2 terms from January 2003 to December 2010. Okay? Now, here's where it gets rich. He successfully ran for Hamilton County Sheriff. Do you know who worked his campaign? Matthew Hoffman. Matthew Hoffman ran Carter's campaign for sheriff of Hamilton County. The same Matthew Hoffman who was fire chief of Carmel, Indiana, who you would assume must know Christopher Long and Winston Long of Carmel, Indiana. Okay? So all of this concerned me. All of this concerned me highly because it's very concerning to me the way in which Matthew Hoffman got brought into Andy Baldwin's office, and which is that he invited himself in. Okay, he invited himself in. So when Hoffman came into Baldwin's employ or office in an official capacity, it was at his own doing. He remembered that he had the personal connection to Andy Baldwin from high school. And so he reached out and contacted Andy Baldwin and therefore got brought all into it. And it is my contention that Mr. Hoffman uh, was one of the key players who misdirected Andy Baldwin's entire defense strategy. And particularly, I think that was in large part due to the influence of the due process gang. Okay. The due process gang. Now, let's see. Murder Sheet said, someone with legal access to them recently shared with us a trove of Twitter messages to and from the unraveling. These include messages sent to what they called the due process gang. What was basically a group chat involving attorney Kara Weinecke, attorney Michael Osbrook, YouTuber Bob Mata, and internet sleuths Angela Sadlowski, Nicole Miller, and Courtney Parsons. These messages paint a picture of efforts behind the scenes to manipulate public opinion about the case. They also demonstrate the extent of the connection between the defense team and YouTubers. In addition, they reveal details of what went on behind the scenes regarding the fundraiser. They also include a discussion of a plan that seems to be the first steps down the road to jury tampering. Okay? Now, in response to that, Osbrook wrote this following. It says, y'all are about to hear from everyone's favorite know-nothings, Murder Sheet, a fairy tale they're going to try to construct out of some of the group Twitter DMs. As with so much about Delphi, their evidence won't prove even plausibly what they claim it does, but it does. And all you have to do is go take in those episodes, okay? But I found it odd because I started thinking about this. And I remembered this particular instance here. On December 9th, 2023, Michael Osbrook made the post, had the great opportunity to talk about the Delphi case, mostly from a habeas perspective with the Murder Sheet in an episode that dropped Wednesday. The responses have been, shall I say, an interesting education in the social media universe. Undeterred, though, I'm going back to record a session Wednesday about the habeas class at Indiana University Maurer School of Law and the amazing work the students do, and I do mean the students. Okay? So this gets interesting too, because remember what I'm saying here is that you have a definitive connection of Matt Hoffman to Winston Long, of Matt Hoffman to Doug Carter, and you also have a connection of Doug Carter to Christopher and Winston Long. Okay, and it's a whole other story. But now we're seeing a direct connection of Michael Osbrook to Murder Sheet. Okay? I'll read this for you. This says, according to screenshots obtained by the Murder Sheet, the group chat was called Due Process Gang. It consisted of Kara Weinecke, a lawyer who represented Allen in the fight to keep his attorneys on the case, an attorney representing Allen's attorneys, and several YouTubers who talk about true crime cases that include the Delphi murders. Kane said, the reason our source did this is because he became very concerned about the level of contact between internet folks and the people who are affiliated with the defense team. Weinecke told Team 8 that the group chat was filled with people who love true crime as she does. They talked about cases happening across the country. She claims the screenshots were obtained illegally. Weineke shared a statement with iTeammate recently out of revenge. A person who knew the password of one of my friends accessed her account and copied all of her private conversations. He gave those conversations to Murder Sheet, who read some of them aloud on recent episodes. The conversations were blended together and the messages were read out of order and out of context. The purpose to make it seem like they were hired by Allen's defense team to sway public opinion. We were not. Ooh, rich. Kane and Greenlee said some of the messages in the group chat bring up ethical concerns of potential jury tampering, particularly when Weineke and others talk about giving YouTube internet sleuths surveys filled out by potential jurors so they can do background investigations. And let's read that again. Kane and Greenlee said some of the messages in the Due Process Gang group chat bring up ethical concerns of potential jury tampering, particularly when Weineke and the others talk about giving YouTube sleuths surveys filled out by the potential jurors so they can do background investigations on them. Kane said when this becomes uncomfortable is when you're bringing in internet sleuths who are not even from Indiana to do this with zero training. I think they're even signing like NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, that should give people pause because the Delphi case especially, internet sleuths do not have the best reputation as far as ethics or not harassing people. Weineke said, I expressed doubt that the defense would have time to vet hundreds of jurors before the May trial date. A friend offered to help. I said I would let the defense team know. I did. They said, no, that's not jury tampering. All right. So Second Location on Reddit says, the allegations of jury tampering or harassment of potential jurors. This was the most serious allegation. Michael Osbrook has a colleague that specializes as a jury consultant who was willing to work for the defense, but he could only do research on about 10 to 20-ish jurors in the time allotted. Michael Osbrook had law students who were waiting to take the bar, who volunteered to be trained by this expert and help research the social media of prospective jurors. All researchers would be required to sign an NDA. Only public things would be researched, such as criminal records and social media. This is completely legal, and both sides do this in high-profile trials. This was an offer that wasn't taken up by the defense as the trial was delayed. Okay. Bob Mata admitted that he referred to Fran Gull as a bitch. Who hasn't? Pondered this if this was released by the Murder Sheet cranks in an attempt to get the judge to bar him from proceedings. Kara Weineke admitted that she helped draft the parody motion, but this is commonly done. Okay. Michael Osbrook seems to think that it's very likely Richard Allen is innocent and is working, taking leads and checking them out. Either Michael Osbrook, Kara Weineke, or Bob Mata have seen, neither Michael Osbrook, Kara Weineke, or Bob Mata have seen any of the evidence or discovery. All right. Now, that gets us caught up with this piece. So give me a moment. I need to do All right. Sorry about that. Now, all right. So I wanted to get us caught up to speed on this entire group, okay? And for all of you who've been with me for the past several months, you're already caught up, okay? We're all caught up pretty well to speed, but for those who are new or still trying to process this, the whole bag seems to be uh, there are lots of problems that can be tied to this due process gang going back in time. And I wanted you to see the context for all of this. And I also wanted you to see my concerns with Matthew Hoffman. Okay. Now tonight's show is called Crabeas Hank because not only was I concerned about Matthew Hoffman's ties to Doug Carter and to Carmel, Indiana, but I became concerned about let us look into this because I started to think, why was this not told to us? Why was this not told? Okay. And then I thought even more. I thought, wow, what do we really know? So I did a little searching, okay? And let me see. So I discovered that Michael Osbrook's father was a highly prominent DC attorney, okay, named Perry Osbrook, okay. And this, I'll read this now. Okay, we'll read this now. It says Perry Osbrook, 80, a lawyer with an expertise in franchise law, who retired in 2002 as a partner in the law firm now known as DLA Piper, died January 10th at Shady Grove Adventist Hospital in Rockville. He had pneumonia. A son, J. Keith Osbrook, confirmed the death. Mr. Osbrook began his legal career in the early 60s with the U.S. Development Loan Fund, a primary source of American aid to foreign countries. He later entered private practice and in 1969 became a founding partner of the Washington law firm of Brownstein, Ziedman, and Schomer. That firm eventually merged with the Chicago firm of Rudnick and Wolf, and then merged with Piper and Marbury. He was an arts patron with an interest in including ballet and other forms of theater. He was past general counsel to the Washington Opera. Perry Cleveland Osbrook Jr. was a Little Rock native and a 1954 graduate of the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton Business School, where he was elected to the Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society. After 3 years of Navy service, he attended Harvard Law School and graduated in 1960. He moved from the district to Brighton Gardens Assisted Living in Chevy Chase a few years ago. He was a member and deacon of the Georgetown Presbyterian Church, and his other memberships included the Metropolitan Club, the Chevy Chase Club, and the Annapolis Yacht Club. His marriage to Dale Kimball ended in divorce. Survivors include two sons, Michael K. Osbrook of Bloomington, Indiana, and J. Keith Osbrook of Washington, and 5 grandchildren. I then learned that Mr. Perry Osbrook has a direct connection to the Kennedy dynasty in that You see here, it says that the Kennedy Georgetown residence was sold for a rumored $102,000 to Mr. and Mrs. Perry Osbrook, young, wealthy, with an eye on history. Then suddenly, there was a thought that the brother in law, Sergeant Shriver, might want the house if he moved to Washington for the new frontier. Attorneys Clark Clifford and Dean Atkinson went to work to unsell it, only to resell it to the Osbrooks a few weeks later. Appointments rolled out, names that meant little now, but would be heard later. George W. Ball, Undersecretary for Economic Affairs; Arthur Sylvester, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs; Angie or Biddy Duke, Chief of Protocol; Newton Minow, Chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. Okay. And then I thought, wow, um, that's interesting. That's interesting there. And I found this letter here. So this is a letter from Jackie Kennedy in 1961, in which the house was purchased. Um, Mrs. Kennedy says, "Dear Mrs. Osbrook, it seems clear from the tone of your letter that you and your husband have no intention of giving back the hall lantern, not chandelier. I thought I made it clear through Mrs. Wise and in my own letter that, of course, I would pay for any installation, rewiring, replastering, etc., involved in replacing my lantern with another one. So it seemed unnecessary to bring that up as a bone of contention. I do feel, as you suggest, I would enter upon a vain search of antiquaries, or which would be both difficult and time-consuming for me, only to be rewarded by a letter saying, 'Mr. Osbrook and I don't think it has equal class and charm of the other one.' Let's leave it this way. You know my sentiments for the lantern and desire to have it back, because only through a sad mistake did it not leave with us. If you and Mr. Osbrook can find the chandelier that appeals to you, do let me know. The price is not important. If it's more than £50, I don't care, nor do I wish to haggle with you and your husband over price. I will always be glad to hear from you on this matter. Sincerely, Jacqueline Kennedy." Okay, and it says description. Jacqueline Kennedy typed letter, 1961, signed Jacqueline Kennedy. An official White House stationery, June 21st, 1961, with original envelope. To Mrs. Osbrook, concerning a hall lantern in the Kennedy Georgetown home. It seems clear from the tone of your letter, and then it reads through, and it says, Mr. and Mrs. Perry Osbrook purchased the Kennedy's Georgetown home in 1961. Okay? All right, so let's see. So I'm going to show you now. I want you to understand what we're talking about. All right, so this here is what we're talking about. This says John F. Kennedy and Jackie in Georgetown, then and now. Okay. Don't let it be forgot there was once a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot. Okay. So you see this 3307 North Street Northwest, this one here. This is what we're talking about here. Okay? Right here. This is the home he was in when he was running for president and was elected. Here. 3307. Jack and Jackie with daughter Caroline in front of 3307. Okay, so this is the home that was purchased by the Osbrooks. Okay, and there's another one here. Oh, let's show this one first. It says explore JFK's former residences in Georgetown. Kennedy's former residence in Georgetown, where he lived prior to his presidency, can provide a more personal look into his life. Although the homes are private and not open to the public, walking through the historic neighborhood offers a sense of life before entering the White House, a sense of his life. Okay, and you can see um, right here, this is the townhouse that Jack bought as a gift to Jackie after she gave birth to their first daughter, Caroline, in 1957. The late John Jr. Uh, and the family lived here when JFK started his campaign for presidency. They stayed in the home until 1961 when he was elected president and moved to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And again, this is another piece on the on the letter, but let's listen to this, okay? In anticipation of Election Day, as is their tradition, the Potomac Company is holding its presidential, political, and historical auction on Saturday, November 5th. Regardless of one's political leanings, the collection is unique and elegant items that will be for sale or worth perusing. Prized pieces from the Georgetown home of President and Mrs. John F. Kennedy, inhabited prior to Kennedy's presidency, are available, including a pair of outdoor sconces, a garden fountain, and a chandelier hall lantern personally purchased and treasured by Jacqueline Kennedy that was accidentally left in the home following its sale to Perry and Dale Osbrook in 1961. Correspondence between Mrs. Kennedy and Mrs. Osbrook about whether the chandelier might be returned to its previous owner is also available. My sister and I bought it in London for £50, and she gave it to me as a housewarming present. It was the first thing that we had in that house except ourselves and our baby daughter when we moved there. I have such a sentimental attachment to it, as I do for the house. Mrs. Kennedy writes in a letter to Mrs. Osbrook regarding her sweet little chandelier, as she describes being unable to oversee the move from 3307 North Street Northwest to the White House due to her husband's inauguration and the premature birth of her son, and how this resulted in the wrong fixture going into storage while her beloved chandelier was left in the house. In addition to the items from the Georgetown home, an assortment of furnishings from the Camelot era, including pieces from the Kennedys' Middleburg retreat, Glenora, are also on offer. Highlights include an antique bed and two Louis XV parquetry commodes from Mrs. Kennedy's bedroom at the Hunt County Estate. History and politics buffs will have much to choose from beyond Jackie and JFK's belongings. An autograph album bearing the signatures from President Washington to Franklin Roosevelt is up for bidding, as well as other stuff, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So where are we now? So, okay. All right. So here's what I have to say now. Okay. So all of this is a mere prelude so that you understand the, I would say, pedigree that Michael Osbrook comes from. Do you understand? These are people who were attorneys, members of society, uh, referenced throughout the DC journals and whatnot as you go into these books, and were able to purchase John Kennedy's home when he became elected president. Um, but it gets even deeper, because you may have noticed here that the children of Mr. Perry Osbrook were not just was not just Michael Osbrook, but also Michael has a brother. So Michael's brother is Keith Osbrook. Okay. Keith Osbrook is currently senior managing director at Guidepost Solutions. Okay, and here's his LinkedIn. Uh, it says here, senior managing director at Guidepost Solutions. It's a global company. Um, sorry, I'm trying to pull this up so I can read it easier. It also says Senior Vice President General Counsel at Civil Defense Solutions, LLC from 2010 to 2014. Executive Secretary of Homeland Security Council. Provided support to the President, the Assistant to the President, and the Deputy Assistant to the President for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism on Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Matters. Managed the Homeland Security Council staff, coordinated U.S. Homeland Security policy development and implementation with the HSC staff, with other elements of the Executive Office of the President and with agency partners, provided substantive and stylistic review of all HSC documents, including plans, strategies, directives, executive orders, talking points, and information and action memoranda for the President, senior White House leadership, and agency principals and deputies. Assisted in development of themes and specific language for the assistant to the President's speeches on counterterrorism structures and established since 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction terrorism. Significant matters worked on include the responses to Hurricanes Gustav and Ike, continuity of government policy, especially for the transition, incident management, cybersecurity, biolab security, medical countermeasure distribution, border security, pandemic influenza planning, disaster preparedness planning, and memoranda for the new administration on priority homeland security issues. Okay, it also says um, House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, 5 years, 5 months. Republican General Counsel, Chief Counsel for Oversight and Investigations. Okay, and I'm going to pull up an article here called. It's actually in the Tampa Bay Times. This is from Tampa Bay Times. It says independent counsel Robert Ray announced Tuesday he is appointing two new prosecutors, including one from Tampa, and promoting a lawyer who oversaw a congressional investigation of the Clinton White House. Those changes come amid the departure of two deputies who were involved in the Monica Lewinsky investigation. J. Keith Osbrook, former chief counsel to the House Subcommittee on National Economic Growth, National Resources, and Regulatory Affairs, will be senior counsel to Ray. He went to work for Ray's predecessor, Ken Starr, in February. As chief subcommittee counsel, Osbrook was instrumental in an investigation into the transfer of information from White House database to the Democratic Party for fundraising purposes. The subcommittee's final report accused President Clinton and the White House of theft of government property, and an accusation the administration flatly denied. Ray also appointed Brian Stewart Clinton, Shilton, and Julie Thomas as associate independent counsels. Shilton has practiced with two law firms in Washington, D.C. Thomas is a career prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tampa, handling public corruption, narcotics, and organized crimes. Deputies Edward J. Page and Michael Emick recently left office. Page is joining a law firm in Tampa, and Emick is returning to L.A., where he has been a federal prosecutor for 18 years. Okay. So you see, J. Keith Osbrook here was working with Ken Starr. Okay. Another one, this time from Pineapple Platinum Squarespace. It says Keith Osbrook has led our teams reviewing sanctions and AML compliance programs in financial institutions around the world. His experience includes providing advice on matters related to federal regulations and due diligence investigations. Keith has held numerous senior executive and legislative branch positions where he developed and implemented investigative and legal strategies and advised senior government officials on legal and political issues. He has an extensive experience with government investigations, including Congressional Inspector General, Government Accountability Office, and federal criminal matters. Prior to joining the private sector, he served as Executive Secretary of the Homeland Security Council at the White House, advising and supporting the President of the United States. Okay? And then I'm going to bring you to this next one here, and we're going to see some more about this. This is guidepost solutions. So momentarily, we're going to go over and see this guidepost solutions. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's see. It says in navigating evolving regulations and policy related to CFIUS team telecom matters, Guideposts assist in the development of mitigation plans, serves as an unbiased third-party monitors and auditors of compliance with national security agreements and letters of assurance, develops remediation plans to address deficiencies, and reports findings to both the transaction parties and the government. We maintain excellent working relationships with CFIUS monitoring agencies, which can be helpful in the often stressful environment of audits and monitorships. Our credibility with the government and reputation as fair but firm monitors and auditors provide confidence to ensure cost-effective compliance. Founded, led, and staffed by the former senior national and Homeland Security, law enforcement, and other U.S. government officials, Guidepost is a global leader in investigations, compliance solutions, monitoring, and security technology consulting. Okay. J. Keith Osbrook, Senior Managing Director. Keith Osbrook is a key member of Guidepost Solutions' high-profile monitoring and compliance practice. He has led teams reviewing compliance programs in financial institutions around the world. Mr. Osbrook was also a member of the monitor team reviewing the safety programs at General Motors under a deferred prosecution agreement with the U.S. DOJ. Mr. Osbrook is a distinguished lawyer with an accomplished record of managing complex crises. He has held numerous senior executive and legislative branch positions where he oversaw homeland and national security policy development and implementation, including serving as the chief lawyer on the House committee investigating Hurricane Katrina as as executive secretary of the Homeland Security Council at the White House. He's also a member of the Republican Lawyers National Association or the Republican National Lawyers Association. Okay. It says Special Assistant for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism to President George W. Bush, August 2008 to January 2009. He was Chief Counsel, Republican General Counsel, House Committee on Government Reform, March 2003 to August 2008. He was Chief Counsel for Oversight and Investigations, House Committee on the Judiciary, May 2001. He was, to March 2003. He was Deputy Independent Counsel, Senior Counsel, Associate Independent Counsel in regards to Madison Guarantee Savings and Loan Association, February 99 to May 2001. Chief Counsel, Senior Counsel Subcommittee on National Economic Growth, National Resources, and Regulatory Affairs of the House Committees on Government Reform, March 97 to January 99. Private practice, Collier, Shannon, Real, and Scott, 1985 to 1997. All right. And we're going to go and visit here. Let's do a little visit. Let's see. This is his current endeavor here. This is Guidepost Solutions. Okay. There's so much here. I mean, we can go through some of this. Okay. I thought I would go through some of this. Let's see. Let's see. I had this ready to go, but like I said, it all crashed on me. So let's see. Uh, hmm. There we go. I thought we should do this. Let's see. Let's try this one. All right. It says, How a code of conduct reflects culture and meets DOJ requirements. Keith Osbrook. Every compliance program begins with a code of conduct. The code of conduct expresses a company's fundamental values and its commitment to living by them. Although a code of conduct is usually a very high level document, it expresses values in very specific areas of interest to a company, from which more detailed policies and procedures follow. Those values may vary from industry to industry because the business activities of an industry may necessitate more emphasis on particular values. Those values may also vary because corporate leadership may have different priorities as well. Through the U.S. sentencing guidelines and public guidance, the U.S. Department of Justice has expressed its view about important elements of a compliance program. The DOJ expects a compliance program to be well designed, adequately resourced, and work in practice. Recent guidance has directed companies to ensure their compensation schemes reward compliance functions and successes and impose significant financial penalties on those who engage in misconduct. A code can exceed minimum requirements. DOJ's expectations and a company's individual values are not mutually exclusive. For a compliance program to be well designed, it must address the most serious risks a company faces that are in part a product of its industry. Financial institutions need strong accounting controls to protect against sanctions, violations, and money laundering. Manufacturing companies need strong health, safety, and environmental programs to keep workers from being exposed to hazardous materials and dangerous workplaces and prevent pollution. A compliance program may also be used to address other risks that reflect corporate priorities that are not necessarily the most severe, but that senior leadership believes are nevertheless significant. For example, while compliance with anti-discrimination laws and regulations is a minimum requirement, a company may establish standards of conduct and processes to exceed the minimum requirements. Similarly, the company may also seek to meet higher environmental standards than law or reputation or regulation requires. The code of conduct can express these values and at the same time stand as a commitment to address DOJ's concerns. Common words in a code of conduct. A code of conduct must start with a commitment by senior leadership to creating a culture of compliance. Words often used to express that commitment include honesty, integrity, ethical, non-retaliation, doing the right thing, accountable, fairness. These values apply across the board to all activity within the company, whether to meet DOJ standards or the company's expectations. At the same time, the code of conduct may express a commitment to other values. Words used to express that commitment may include the following: innovative, diverse, socially responsible, sustainable, environmentally sound, community involvement. While some of these values are reflected in legal obligations, some also go beyond mere compliance with laws and rules. They attempt to create a higher ethos for a company. The code of conduct can express both a culture of compliance and a higher level ethos. A code of conduct will address different concerns for different industries while also addressing DOJ's concerns. Words used in codes of conduct for different industries might include the examples listed in this table. And you see how he shows the semantics uh, according to industry. So manufacturing, professional services, technology, education, financial institutions. So the guidance is, for instance, in manufacturing, you'd say safety, whereas in professional services, maybe honesty, technology, innovative, education, safe, financial institutions, honesty. And you see how these all will cross reference, okay? Um, Common words used in codes of conduct. While not all these words address legal compliance, they are compatible and can be treated by the company in the same way it treats legal compliance. For example, failure to follow policies and procedures designed to ensure collegiality or innovation can be met with discipline. Codes must tackle high-risk areas. A code of conduct must address these areas and simultaneously express a commitment to compliance in high-risk areas of interest to DOJ. To ensure that code of conduct covers those areas, a company should look to its risk registers to see what risks have been evaluated and what higher risk have been identified. These include conflicts of interest, anti-bribery and corruption, financial reporting, financial accounting, safety, third-party relationships, and national security. The most serious compliance risks are likely to be anti-bribery and corruption, third-party relationships, financial accounting and reporting, national security, and antitrust. These areas provide the highest financial incentives for misconduct and corruption in the honest market for goods and services. DOJ would expect the code of conduct to address all these kinds of risks. Having a compliance program that focuses on major risk, however, is not enough without compliance personnel and processes to monitor and report on compliance, and without being able to demonstrate that the program works in practice through appropriate remediation and discipline. The code of conduct can also make clear that it's not just a piece of paper. It can warn employees that misconduct will be dealt with effectively through a well-resourced compliance department staffed by respected company leaders with the full support of senior leadership. Recent guidance, address incentives and reporting. Recent guidance from the DOJ emphasized that compliance functions and successes should be incentivized through compensation and rewards. Non-compliance must be met with full investigation and discipline, including termination if appropriate. Financial misconduct may also result in the clawback of ill-gotten gains. The code of conduct should also include a commitment to these principles and how company systems and processes are used to support them. Finally, but importantly, the code of conduct must make clear that the reporting of misconduct is not optional. It should explain that the multiple avenues of reporting misconduct to a supervisor, human resources, senior management, or a third-party anonymous hotline. It should include a strong expression of non-retaliation policies. That retaliation against good faith reporters of misconduct will not be tolerated. Conclusion: organizations can successfully blend code of conduct elements critical to them with elements critical to the DOJ. Some elements are necessary for an organization to establish a culture of compliance and satisfy DOJ that it is doing so. Other elements can express broader cultural themes within an organization without detracting from meeting DOJ's requirements. In fact, aspirations higher than mere compliance with rules and laws can also inspire employees to be more compliant at all levels. Takeaways: a code of conduct can be used as an expression of a company's values beyond minimum legal compliance. Expressing values in the code of conduct beyond legal compliance can help to establish a company's higher cultural ethos. While these higher values can be included in the code of conduct, the code must also address US DOJ priorities in preventing corporate crime. Tools of compliance, such as well-resourced and respected compliance department, the use of discipline and incentives, and an effective speak-up culture can support the company's goals and DOJ's priorities. Using compliance tools to support higher company aspirations can enhance legal compliance throughout a company. Okay, so just a moment. Let's see. So that's one of the articles produced by Mr. Osbrook through Guidepost. Let's see. All right, let's bring this back. Also, you can see what they're typically, some of the things they're typically contracted for. Corporate internal investigations is one. We are frequently called upon to conduct internal investigations or allegations of suspicions of harassment or corrupt or fraudulent conduct by employees. We rely upon our team of attorneys, forensic accountants, research analysts, field investigators, and computer forensics experts to staff these assignments. And we work collaboratively to develop an investigative plan that is appropriate to suspected misconduct. We typically employ a phased approach to internal investigations with budgetary parameters for each phase. The scope and focus of successive phases are determined in consultation with you, and our strategy going forward is dictated by the findings in each phase. Since most of our investigative professionals have experience in federal, state, and local law enforcement, as prosecutors, auditors, and agents, our strategies are developed with an understanding of the evidence that may be needed to support an eventual criminal prosecution. Because we have years of experience in the private sector, we are equally sensitive to matters of confidentiality and public perception. When investigation becomes public, it is critical that every effort is made to protect your organization from reputational damage. With input from strategic partners with experience in such matters, we often assist in developing an appropriate public response to these to inquiries regarding the suspected misconduct. This is called PR. Okay, but you see that in terms of it says Guidepost Solutions is a global leader in investigations, monitoring, compliance, security technology, risk management solutions. Guidepost helps companies, government agencies, individuals, and their counsel solve problems, mitigate risk, and resolve disputes, among many other services. Okay, it's a global company here. Investigations and business intelligence. They do corporate internal investigations, okay, forensic accounting, private investigations, due diligence business intelligence, institutional integrity, technology advisory services, economic damages and business valuation, investigation services against mass arbitration threats, workplace investigations, emerging issues in technology, litigation support, risk and compliance. They do AI risk management, environmental, social, and corporate governments. They do immigration and border services, corporate compliance services, faith-based services, national security services, privacy, federal firearms and explosive compliance, DEA regulatory compliance, digital assets compliance and consulting, financial crime consulting, trade compliance, monitorships. They do bank and financial monitorships, construction, corporate, regulatory, transactional monitoring, and antitrust. Security services and threat assessments. They work cyber security consulting, physical security consulting, federal agency support, preparedness and training, federal procurement, protective services, operational security, specialized security. Let's check in protective services. What do we do? Guidepost Solutions is a leader in the field of security consulting and risk management. We offer comprehensive solutions tailored to the unique need of corporate execs, ultra high net worth individuals, and family offices to maintain personal, business, and operational security, safety, and privacy. Our services range from sophisticated global protection and emergency crisis response to security technology, design, and reputation and identity management. Our team includes former federal and state prosecutors, former law enforcement agents, intelligence officers from CIA, Federal Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Secret Service, Drug Enforcement Administration, and Department of Homeland Security. We employ executive protection experts, technology and cyber consultants, forensic accountants, personnel recovery specialists, and others with experience delivering bespoke services to high net worth clients. Okay. Cybersecurity consulting. Nearly every aspect of life is connected to the digital landscape. This means your business can face a host of security risk, liabilities, and challenges. To guard against sophisticated cyber threats, you should be thinking about a comprehensive security plan to protect your network and data and mitigate exposure to a potential breach. An effective cybersecurity program starts with a framework that includes a strong governance model, comprehensive policies and procedures, and a commitment to adhere to industry best practices and standards. It includes regular penetration testing to identify and evaluate gaps in the network security and make a plan to make the digital environment more predictive and secure. Every organization must determine which cybersecurity processes are right for its business. In some industries, the processes that an organization must implement are guided by industry requirements, federal regulations, or both. Our team understands how compliance with NIST, CFS 800, CIS, ISO, PCI, DSS, COBIT, SOC1, SOC2, SOC3, NYDFS, Part 200, Part 500, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, Health Information Trust Alliance certification, service organization control, 2 audits, and other evaluations against established frameworks and standards are critical to an organization's success. You see, they also do technology consulting. They do acoustics, audiovisual, commissioning, fire alarm, enterprise solutions, global security operations centers, security systems, managed services, telecommunications, remote security operations. Preparing a global organization to effectively monitor and manage enterprise risk is not just a service we provide, it's a specialty. We provide guidance through every aspect of planning and designing the Global Security Operations Center, from the strategic big picture view to the smallest and most critical details, to ensure effective solutions are implemented with a confident and proactive design. We leverage decades of experience and industry leading expertise in GSOC services to navigate challenges and anticipate potential needs and outcomes. Create an adaptable global security operations design that will grow and evolve as business needs change. Prepare an effective strategy and center design to address all the what if security scenarios and achieve proactive enterprise level risk management tailored to fit business and technology deployment. Okay. So, who is Guidepost? Okay. All right. So, again, this is J. Keith Osbrook, okay? Senior Managing Director, key member of Guidepost Solutions, high profile monitoring and compliance practice, okay? As I mentioned also, here you can see clearly Mr. J. Keith Osbrook is a member of the Republican National Lawyers Association, Special Assistant for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism to President George Bush. Remember, we referenced Ken Starr earlier. Um, March 2003 to August 2008, he was Chief Counsel, Republican General Counsel, and House Committee on Government Reform, Chief Counsel for Oversight and Investigations, House Committee on Judiciary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is Michael Osbrook's brother, okay? So the way I view it here, you're going from DC elite attorneys on up to the White House, okay? And now he's moved from the White House to globalist. Um, Now, my question here is, like all of this lack of transparency, the number one question I have is, why have we not heard this before? I know when I read all of this, it was new to me. It was my first time. And I thought, well, hmm, just like Mr. Hoffman, uh, I don't remember anyone coming out and explaining that Mr. Hoffman had worked on Doug Carter's campaign, that Mr. Hoffman had been fire chief of Carmel, Indiana, and in the fire department for many, 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 many years, likely knowing Winston and Christopher Long, um, Long, Carter, and now George Bush, Ken Starr. I think it's very interesting. And remember that Doug Carter was appointed by Pence and Holcomb, right? So, in my opinion, backing off and looking at this, it looks like we're dealing with Mike Pence, Doug Carter, Holcomb, George Bush, Ken Starr, uh, globalist security and PR firms. Awful lot of ties to DC. And I wonder, Why has this not been mentioned previously? And why, Michael Osbrook, have you led the charge to pressure Kathy Allen into succumbing to your will? It's a very troubling question here. And I don't want to feel like DC is strong arming Kathy and Rick Allen, because it's bad enough that the state of Indiana has already done that. Rick Snay relayed a powerful message today from Kathy Allen. Um, I don't know how many of you caught that, but no, I found it interesting. Let me see if let me see what I can do here. Oh, it's not gonna. Basically, the spirit of what he relayed was look into the corruption. Look into the corruption with this case. Okay, look into the corruption of this case. And not only that, you see, I look into this. Why is it that this case is plagued with IT specialists? I don't know how many of you have understood that yet about this case. Mark my words, because we haven't shown it all to you. Okay? This case is plagued with IT specialists. Why? The interesting thing, a lot of the people who plagued this case who are IT specialists, the interesting thing is they wiped their internet histories before they come online. So so these people, IT specialists on a global scale, they wipe their internet histories, wipe themselves off the internet. They put on a mask or some sort of anonymous mask. Then they come into the Delphi murders case. And if you do happen to get their identity, you ain't going to find them on the internet, because you can get that identity all you want. They have already scrubbed the internet. So, anyway, this is my episode on habeas crank, or Crabeas Hank, as I like to call him. Um, Before I close, there's one more thing. And I think this is the most telling of all. Okay? I noticed I noticed something here. which is that well, it's more of a question. It's more of a question. Why is it that individuals like the Due Process Gang, like Matthew Hoffman, and like Michael Osbrook, why is it that they will not question any of the digital evidence? They will hardly question the timeline or the family. So, where are we when you won't question the timeline, you won't question the family, and you won't question the digital evidence? I mean, newsflash, there's a lot to question in the digital evidence. There's a lot to question in the family. And there's a lot to question with the timeline. Why didn't Baldwin and Rozzi focus number one on reasonable doubt? Why is it that this group basically wants to argue Gray Hughes, Nicholas McClellan, lone wolf killer theory, except they want to swap out Ron Logan for Richard Allen? So I will tell you all right now, do not go hassle anyone. I always say, I never want people from my channel to go anywhere else and hassle anyone else. Just like I don't want anyone else from any other channels coming here and hassling me. So please, don't go anywhere and say anything to anyone. Just collect your information, understand the people you are dealing with, and all the things that have been said, where the proof lies and where it doesn't. Because I have promised you everything that I've said to you and claimed, I've shown you. You should expect the same from everyone else. Whoever is bringing something to you needs to show you. They can't show you, it has no meaning. I want to send an extra special thanks to It's a New Day. Okay. It's a New Day has been my partner in this particular episode here. I owe her a lot of thanks for pointing me in the right direction, uh, um, opening my mind up to some of this that I had to look at, and giving me some breadcrumbs to follow. And so, thank you to It's a New Day. And everyone out there needs to know this. It's a New Day is working hard behind the scenes to try to dig into this for Abby and Libby, and there's no doubt about that. And so I want to thank you. It's a New Day, and also artist, and I also want to thank Adrian in Light in the Dark. Okay, and everyone else who's had my back all around the YouTube streets. Because trust me, I've seen how it's been on YouTube and on Twitter. Uh, there's crazies everywhere. Okay, the crazies are everywhere, and I'm pretty sure after tonight's show, the crazies' heads are going to explode, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about Friday. I would anticipate that tomorrow, all they're going to do is say that I'm attacking Michael Osbrook, and like I said, but I just have the question: why did we never not hear any of this before? So Michael, I'm sorry, Matthew Hoffman, Michael Osbrook, high level of concern with the connections here. And I just wonder why you have not explained this to the people when you've been on this case for a number of years, deeply inserting yourselves. Okay. Um, Anyhow, special thanks to everyone who goes out there and continues to have sanity, intellect, uh, critical thinking, and you go out there and you have my back. We have each other's back. Like I said, this is never about an attack. This is only about answers. Why the lack of transparency? Again, to go back to these questions, why not a single answer on the Bridge Guy video that Michael Osbrook claims he had taken from the extraction? Why not a single answer about that video, which clearly looks enhanced and stabilized and possibly, I don't know, tampered with? Why not a single answer about that video? March, April, May, June, now July. There's not been a single shred of evidence for anything you've claimed about it. But we're the bad guys. Number one piece of evidence in this entire case, but we're the bad guys. So you guys got to put up or shut up. You got to show some proof. And until then, questions will remain. Anyhow, thank you all for being here. I think we'll cut it short tonight. This will be a nice short show, and maybe some people will see that it's a length that's reasonable enough to watch. Delphi, Crabeas Hank, Justice for Abby and Libby, okay? Thanks everyone for being here. A special shout out to Adrian, Pie Crust, LB, Rebecca Ann, Amy, Carla Ann, Dieter, Critter Mama, Zaddy, Miss K, LB, Pie Crust, Sweet Dude Shibby, Post Apocalyptic Jane, Terry, Christina, Granny D, Maya, Noe, Lisa, It's a New Day, Charles, Digital, Chevy Killer, Swade Smith, Rhonda Holton, Critter Mama, Christine, and everyone else who was here. If I missed you, I apologize for missing you. Put your name down below. I'll say hello. But thanks for everyone who was here. If you're on the replay, please leave comments down below. We love the comments. Look, we're going to try to do some more receipts for you guys. We're going to post up some receipts. So be looking out for that. Also, look out tomorrow. We'll be doing a Heather Brown fundraiser. Okay. Let's do a Heather Brown fundraiser tomorrow. So save your pennies. If you're on the replay, please realize you can leave a Cash App, buy me a coffee, go subscribe at Substack, leave a super chat, a super thanks, anything like that. So thank you and for supporting the channel. Also hit the thumbs up. That works out as well. But let me see who's saying good night. Let's see. We got Chevy Killer, Zaddy, Charles, Critter Mama, Carla Ann. All right. Same old ones. All right. Thanks, everybody. So I already said bye to you. I ain't get to say it twice. But good to see everybody. We'll get out of here. Please hit the thumbs up on the way out, by the way. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. And see you tomorrow at Heather Brown's fundraiser. Okay, so with that being said, one last word. Let me see.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here. Bye.